Let's go. I love this bike. Woo! Okay, in today's project, we're going to be upgrading our brake lines to steel braided lines, and these lines are made by Spiegler. I really want to thank Spiegler for working with us. Finally, after 4 years, somebody has stepped up and made a direct replacement kit for the Rebel 1100, and we'll go into all of the details and how to install it. But as you can see, these are steel braided lines. I've used these lines, Spiegler lines that is, during my track days for about 3 years. Amazing product. I trusted it with my life. This is a performance upgrade as well as a safety item, in my opinion, okay, and my experience. And we'll get into that later. What I wanted to show you is, look at all the different colors that they can make, so you can personalize it to your liking. What I ended up choosing, I was torn between this black one and this carbon fiber look. So I actually preferred this one. Look how awesome this is. So this is gonna look amazing on the bike. So let's get started. With the OEM rubber lines, you get this spongy feeling. Let me demonstrate what it looks like. So you see, as I compress this, so if I add pressure to it, look what happens. I can close it all the way in. So after some time, these rubber hoses actually expand, especially when it's hot, and it is a horrible sensation, let me tell you that. So upgrading to the steel braided lines will eliminate that. This is the OEM line, and it's made out of rubber. So this is what it looks like as a cross section of it. So I wanted to do a quick demonstration to show you the difference, okay? So this is the OEM line. There you go, you see? Now, these are the steel braided lines, all right? So let's see if we can cut these the same way. Oh man, did you hear that? I'm gonna ruin my life if I keep doing this. So you see what a difference that is? So these are the steel ones, steel braided lines, and these are the OEM rubber ones, okay? Huge difference. Many owners have added risers to their Rebels, and in order for it to work, you can either reroute the front brake line, as you've seen me demonstrate in other videos, to behind the triple tree right this way, or you can keep it in the same routing condition as it was, but add an extension as this one. Now, the extension is definitely the safer option for you to go with. However, the best option to do is to replace the whole line, because you eliminate all of these connection points, okay? So you will have the ability to purchase this extension online on their website. In addition, you can get the kit that is stock plus 2 inches to accommodate the 2-inch risers, stock plus 3, stock plus 4, and any length that you want. The first thing we have to do is to drain all the old brake fluid from the system. Guys, this is the brake system. If you don't know what you're doing, please do not work on your bike. I am not a trained mechanic. This is my personal bike. This is just for your entertainment. Please take your bike to the dealership and have them work on it. When removing the cover, be careful, because there might be some fluid that might come out. Just be mindful of that and make sure that you place it somewhere safe, and be ready to wipe anything, so have brake cleaner ready to go. Also remove the floater. All right, the manual states that we have to replace the brake fluid every 2 years. I don't do it that way. I replace it probably once a year, sometimes even more. This is less than a year old in here, and I wanted to show you this tool in case it might be of interest to you. This is a tester for brake fluid. So let's see the water content of the brake fluid. You see what I'm talking about? Look, it's time to replace it. So it has taken on water, even though it's less than a year. So this is something to invest in for you guys. So just keep that in mind. Okay, let's drain the fluid. Now that we've drained the reservoir, we have to empty the line. So we're going to do that from the bottom, and I'm going to show you how we're going to do that, okay? Normally, you would use a vacuum pump to pull all of the brake fluid out. I don't have one, so this is a makeshift one. I made it by myself. I'll include a link to this. They're very cheap. This is from Home Depot. This is what I actually use when I do my bleeding procedure. And I've used that in the past in a couple of videos, but I'll leave a link to it. And you just put them in together. It's a super tight fit. I think it's gonna work, so let's try it out. Okay, so we've attached the hose. This is what it looks like. Let's see if there is a vacuum. As you guys can see, that is tight. So in theory, it should work. So let's try it out. This is a number 8. All we're gonna do is just open it loose and then use this to drain all the fluid out. Okay, so we opened up the bleeder valve. Let's see now if this is gonna work. All right, do you see that? Okay, perfect. So the system worked, all right? So this is how much additional fluid we got out of the lines. This is the best that we're going to be able to do. So when we remove the lines, we just need to be mindful that some fluid is still going to come out, okay? Close back the bleeder valve and make sure that you wipe off anything that has seeped. In my case, a little bit came out, so I'm just gonna spray it with some brake cleaner. All right, the next thing we have to do is remove this manifold. This manifold is actually connected to the line that goes to the master cylinder. So in order for us to do that, we have to unscrew this right here and take this off. Make sure you have rags over here because there's still going to be some brake fluid in the lines when we remove them, okay? It doesn't take much, okay? Okay, so we removed the nut. And I don't see a lot of fluid coming out, which is great. Okay, so now it's time to release the manifold. There we go. Keep track of your bolts. Okay, so now we can kind of move it out of the way. Don't bend this too much, okay? Just slightly push it out of the way so that you don't create any damage, all right? You see it coming out? So move it out and down. And that's the manifold over here. So we need to release the brake from the top and then pull it out this way because this is too big to go through, okay? This is a 12mm socket to remove the banjo bolt from over here. In my case, I have an extension, so I'm gonna be removing this as well. But for your case, just remove the banjo bolt over here and then the whole line will go through, okay? Once again, what you need to do is you need to make sure that you catch any brake fluid that's gonna come out and plug this as well. That way you don't risk anything coming on your paint. So I'll plug it like this with a paper towel. Now that we have the brake line free, we need to push it through. You see this grommet down there? We need to push that through the mount to release it. There we go. Now that the brake line is free, we'll route it from the bottom over here. Just like that, okay? So now we can pull it through to the other side. You see how it's released? And this is the brake line that will route this way. And now we can reroute the new line. We'll go in this way, through to the other side. This is the new manifold that they provide you. Mind you, there's two sides, you see. One that has a brass collar on the inside. This goes to the line going to the ABS, and then the one on the bottom goes to your new line. The hole over here is what you use to mount it right over here with the bolt, okay? So before we do that, we need to install the line on the actual manifold. Okay, just finger tight at first so that we can get everything in position, and then we'll tighten everything down, okay? Now that we have the lines finger tightened, now we need to secure the actual manifold before we fasten everything, okay? Okay, let's finish tightening the bottom one. That's enough. Not too much, okay? That's done. Now let's do the original line. And this is a number 10. So this is 11, and this is a number 10. Right there. Okay, so we're done with this part. Let's connect it to the master cylinder. This is what the line looks like, all right? The kit comes with 2 banjo bolts. Make sure that you guys replace your banjo bolts. It's very important, all right? First one goes in all the way. Okay? This goes through this. Then you put the second one. And this goes into your master cylinder, okay? Per the service manual, this needs to be torqued down to 25 foot-pounds. There it is. Okay, the line is connected and we are good to go. As you guys see, the line is routed in the same fashion as the OEM line, so one continuous line. No issues, no snagging whatsoever. Perfect. Since we've done the upper line, now we can do the lower line, which is this one over here. So we need to remove this bolt. We need to remove the radiator cover as well. And then also remove the bolts that are holding the radiator to kind of get the clearance that we need to get to the manifold back here. I'll show you a close-up soon. Now we can remove the radiator cover. When you remove the cover, be mindful of these spacers. You see you have these 4 spacers. So they're easy to lose, so be careful. They pop off easily. Okay, let's disconnect the radiator. So you've got this top bolt over here. And then the lower 2. The reason we had to disconnect the radiator and remove the cover is because this right there is the brake line. This is the manifold. And in order for us to get a wrench in here, it's a little bit tight, as you guys can see. So removing it kind of gives us a little bit more clearance so that we don't have to disconnect the hoses and drain the coolant and what have you. The manifold is secured to a bracket by this bolt right here. Now, the bracket, there's a second bolt right over here, okay, which runs at the top over here. This is holding the ABS cable, as you guys can see. So in order to get this out of the way, we also have to remove this bolt and this bolt over here, okay? Now we can remove the bracket and the ABS line out of the way. Now that we've moved the bracket out of the way and the ABS line out of the way, now we have much better access to undo this nut over here, okay? So we did all this so that we can get to this bolt over here to remove it, okay? This is a 10 millimeter. Sorry about my hands getting in the way, but that's the only way that I can do it. okay? So far so good, no fluid has come out. Okay, now that we have this line free, let's go to the other side. So this is the manifold we just disconnected. The line comes this way. It's connected over here, so we need to remove this and also remove the banjo bolt. So before releasing this, I'm gonna disconnect the banjo bolt. We need to remove the clips that are securing the ABS cable. And now the line is completely free to be removed. Undo the banjo bolt. This is a 12mm socket. Be ready to wipe the brake fluid that's going to come out from here. It's already leaking. And let's remove this bolt up here that's holding it. There you go. Now we have the whole line with us, and we can put that off to the side. If any brake fluid spills over here, make sure you spray it immediately, okay? Now we can connect the new line, okay? So they send you this manifold, all right? It's got two sizes, just like the other one that we saw. And do you see this brass fitting on the inside? This goes to the ABS line, okay? So this goes there, and then this one gets connected over here. I hope you guys can see. So what I'm doing is I'm threading it with my finger, okay? Just to kind of get it started. And I also connected the new line. So what we need to do is we need to tighten the one in the back first before we tighten the one in the front. To help you while you're tightening and to prevent the manifold from twisting, just thread the bolt that's holding it in place. So this will help us to do our final tightening in the back. All right, that's it. Now that we have the ABS line tightened, we know that this is the right curvature over here. We need to tighten the new steel braided line. Right there. All right, so next I'm going to attach the bracket. So I'm going to remove this bolt from here, attach the bracket, put the bolt back in, make sure that your ABS line goes in here, and then we can finalize the installation. Okay, getting the cover back on is a little bit of a pain in the ass, you guys, so be mindful. Just be very patient with it, and you'll get it. Now we need to install the cable tie. All right, so now we can attach the line to the caliper with the banjo bolt. This is the OEM banjo bolt. So they provide you with two new washers, crush washers. Make sure you use those. And torque it down to 25 foot-pounds. Use zip ties to secure the ABS cable. And use another zip tie to hold the actual brake line using the old bracket, okay? Not too tight to allow movement. This is the final routing of the ABS cable or the speed sensor cable. So I'm using the OEM clip over here. The line comes with this rubber grommet that I'm using over here. I put a zip tie through the original bracket over here, put another zip tie to the line, come around. So right there, there's another zip tie right here. Follow the line all the way up. And a final zip tie right over here. Now that we have the lines connected, we need to put fresh brake fluid in there. I'm using the Honda OEM .4. All right, so let's get started, and then we'll end up bleeding the system as well. Just be careful, make sure you have rags in case you spill anywhere, okay? We're gonna fill this all the way up to the top as far as possible. And we're gonna start to apply the front brake. This is gonna take some time for sure, okay? Okay, we're starting to get a little bit of pressure. So I'm bleeding from the bottom. Do you see how all the bubbles are starting to come out over here? Okay, so we're gonna be pumping at the top. Pump, pump, hold it, open. You see all the bubbles? Close. And repeat this process until we remove all of the bubbles, okay? Make sure you keep an eye on the reservoir. Don't let the level go all the way down, okay? When we no longer see bubbles coming out from here, that means that we've bled the system and there's no air in there, so we can close everything up, fill up the reservoir, and close it up. As you guys saw, bleeding the brakes takes quite some time. In the future, I'm going to do a video of how to install these. These are called speed bleeders, okay? So what this means is that you just open it once, you leave it open, there's a valve in there that will prevent any air going back in, and it'll just speed things up. It'll make your life so much easier. Highly, highly recommended. Okay, so let's test the new fluid to see what the difference is between this one and the old one. There you go. You see the difference? Be mindful to the level of where you should fill it. So you see at the top of the window right there. Put the floater in, the diaphragm, and the cover with the writing facing the rider. To disconnect the hose, put a rag right under it, pinch the line with some pliers, then take it off and turn it upside down. I also removed the cover for the bleeder valve, and that way I can clean it well. And reinstall the cover. After I finish with a brake job, what I like to do is I like to put the system under pressure. So I'll put a zip tie right here to hold the brake lever like that. And what I'm gonna do is I'll use a tissue, a clean one, and I'll go around all the fittings that we installed, and I'll just place it underneath of it and then examine it closely to see if there's any brake fluid whatsoever. So I'll check all of the fittings that we worked on. The banjo bolt at the caliper, the bleeder valve, at these fittings over here where we installed the new manifold, and lastly these fittings over here. Perfect. All right, so the new lines have been installed. They feel awesome. What's left is I need to install these plastics as well as the batwing, and we'll take the bike out to test it out. It's the perfect day for riding and testing out the new brakes. Here's, to keep it short and sweet, you guys, buy now, thank me later. I mean, finally, these brakes feel amazing now, okay? So now, keep in mind, I actually have different brake pads, so I did a video about that. I have the EBC EPFA 700 H. Now, these are great tires. I used to use them on the track, and but regardless, the combination of having the steel braided lines with these, it's just one finger. I mean, it's incredible. I am so happy with the results, and I can't recommend these highly enough. Listen guys, these brake lines are designed for racing, right? Or they were developed on the track or for track riding, okay? Anything and everything that is developed on the track for performance translates to a safety item on the road. Who wouldn't want better brakes? Who wouldn't want better tires? Who wouldn't want better suspension to be able to handle everything, okay? And these are the things that I don't compromise on, and I go for the best that money can buy. I get the best available tires, I get the best brakes, and I get the best suspension, because I know, based on my experience on the track, that these are a safety item on the road, okay? I've had a couple of instances where I've had an issue with the brake on the Rebel 1100. I know quite a few people have made mention of it, including Quasi-Motard, regarding the sponginess of them, man. So what is a spongy feeling? It's when you grab the brake and the brake lever continues to depress. Like there's a little bit of pressure, but not enough stopping power, okay? So you continue to push and you're like, man, I'm not stopping fast enough. It's such a scary feeling, man. I don't wish it on anyone, especially when you're going at highway speeds and all of a sudden you have an emergency braking situation and you apply the brakes and there's nothing there. I experienced that on the track. That's how I came to find steel braided lines. I was on the track, I was still new to track riding at that time, and I was going super fast on the straight, and then I went for my brakes. I had an R6 at that time, and it comes with rubber hoses, okay? So I went and I grabbed the brake, and at the end of the straight, and there was some braking force, but not enough, so I was compressed all the way in, and the bike was still going, so I actually didn't make the corner. Thank goodness there was a runoff at that track, okay? So I didn't get any injury or anything like that, but that freaked me out, and I didn't listen because I didn't want to spend the extra money to get the steel braided lines, even though my friends had told me about it. I don't know. When you don't know, you don't know, right? Until you experience it. So learn from my mistakes, you guys. I tried to save a couple of bucks by not doing that. I also learned the hard way with boots as well on the track. Not once, twice. You know, I went the cheap route and getting cheap riding boots, and you know, when I crashed on the track, I really messed up my ankle. Not once, like I said, twice. So I learned the lesson the expensive way twice. But anyway, guys, these lines eliminated the spongy feeling. It's disgusting. I hated it, right? It eliminated that, okay? Plus the fact that they look awesome. I mean, look at that, almost like carbon fiber. I love it. The color combinations are endless. You guys can customize it to your liking. I decided to go with this, even though it's not the same color. I was torn between the black and this color, but I decided to go with this because I think it's just very sexy, okay? Okay, this is a completely empty road, so look, don't try this yourselves, you guys, okay? So I'm gonna do a quick demonstration, 0 to 60 and back down to 0, and I want you guys to look at my fingers as I'm applying the brakes, okay? Ready? Load it, load it, load it. Look at that. A little bit of ABS I can feel. Absolutely amazing. So if you guys ask me, do I recommend this? Absolutely. I'll tell you, what the hell are you waiting for? Okay? Anyway, I hope that you guys found this helpful. Have an amazing day.